Finding new clients. This one is a tasty treat. This is something that is obviously insanely important. It's like if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? If you don't have clients, are you really a Webflow developer? Right? If you don't build houses, are you a builder? Really, getting new clients is not prioritized enough, and it's something that I've literally spent tens of thousands of dollars learning from. I pay monthly $2,000 a month for business coaching, and I have for a long period of time. I've been in tens of thousands of dollars of coaching programs and funnel programs, marketing programs, Facebook ads, email marketing. Yes, I'm going to share with you some explicit things on how we ended up receiving consistent, well-paying projects. And I implore you to really pay attention here. Watch this video multiple times, because the cash flow of your business is the lifeline. It's the oxygen that keeps the business alive. What we're going to be covering on this one is, where does our work come from for a Flow Gurus? What it actually takes to get clients, why customers keep coming back for us, how to be more valuable, showing your work, knowing your numbers, and should you freelance, build an agency, or get a job? We're going to cover quite a bit here, but this here is just crazy important. Now, where does our work come from? Let's have a look. I'm going to take you behind the scenes, and I'm just going to show you. So you can see here, we've got the source. So these are all the agencies we've partnered with. There's one freelancer in there. The source of all of these. Okay. So we've got from the top, if we put this in groups, we can see here that we've got a bunch from the group or communities. We've got one from Webflow Experts. We've got 3 from Google. We've got 3 from cold calling, and we have 5 here from cold emails. That is very interesting to note, because if we know these numbers, if we know where we're getting businesses from, we can then double down on what's working. And this was actually really surprising to me when I found out that the majority were coming from our communities. And here the majority are coming from actually the Reloom community. And so this is from being involved with the Reloom community, or building the icon library with the Reloom community, or people referring through the Reloom community, or posting in the Reloom community. Either way, just being part of that community has led to referrals or people, getting in touch with us. Also, we have a couple of other like coaching communities that we're a part of. Then Webflow Experts, that's enough said. Google. So this is just being ranked on Google for Webflow Developers Australia. We got in there early and had to pay. These days we don't spend much time on it, but cold calling. Oh, that's brutal. Absolutely brutal. But I essentially dozens and dozens and dozens of cold calls, just calling up design agencies. I just got a huge list of design agencies in Australia, just from getting people to search and produce lists. I want to know all the agencies in Australia, and I just called them up one by one. Hey, my name's Caleb. I'm just calling to drum up partnerships with design agencies here in Australia. I'm based in Adelaide, and we support design agencies to do their dev work. Is this something you guys have sorted, or are you looking for a potential partnership in this space? Just like that. No thanks. Have a good day. Okay, bye. Brutal. That's pretty much to the extent of it. And then from there, maybe it was a 2-minute chat, 3-minute chat. Cool. It sounds like it might be something. Did you want to book in a time? And we'd find a time. What's interesting to know about the cold calling that I did that led to these, there's one here that kind of half shouldn't count because they kind of already knew of us. So let's just say 2. But it was actually over 2 or 3 weeks that it was only 8 hours of actual calls, getting on calls and actually making calls, that led to 2 new agencies coming on board. And so far, those 2 agencies have spent, I think, about $10,000 worth of projects. 8 hours is translated to, at the moment, $10,000 worth of projects, where in 12 months, if they've done a few more projects, that's going to be a really profitable marketing exercise, if that makes sense. And then the last one is our cold email outreach, where we are sending out cold emails to design agencies around Australia, which kind of pitching our services, etc. But that there is a whole other animal in itself, but it's definitely for us is working a treat. So that's where our work has come from. It's come from being involved in the communities, sharing things with the community, getting involved and promoting partnerships and essentially giving value to those around us in our community, which is, giving us some kind of reputation. And then second is from cold outreach. Cold outreach. For most people, it's really brutal, cold outreach. And for me, it is as well. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of cold calls over the years. Before we get into what really goes into getting new customers like that, it's really important to know your numbers. The reason this is important is because before you can get on a call and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and hey, this is what we offer, you need to know what you're offering, and you can't know what you offer until you know your numbers and what's going to be profitable and not profitable. So the first question is, how much do you need to live? A lot of people say, oh, I want to make $10,000 a month. Yeah, but do you want to make, do you need $10,000 a month? What does that look like? So it's very vague. I know it seems specific, but a lot of people are just picking an arbitrary number out of the sky. How much do you need to put food on your table, a roof over your head, pay for petrol in the car, and take care of your family? What is that number? I call that your baseline. Then we need to set the next goal, which is, let's say, call it the comfort line, which is, that's my baseline, the bare minimum that I need to get by. And then the next level, let's say I need $2,000 a month. If I have $2,000 a month, I can survive. I'm okay. Family's happy, it's okay. Then if I'm making $3,000 or $3,500 a month, I'm starting to save some money. I can maybe go on a little trip, once a year, it's comfortable. And then set the next goal, which is like the money, the big goal. Then I want $8,000, $10,000 a month, whatever that is. Now that you know that, then what are your monthly expenses, including tax? In Australia, we pay 20, 30, 40% tax. Like, it's insane the amount of tax that we have to pay here in Australia. How much time will you need to spend on each project? Like, is it going to be, let's say for us, our average project is around $4,000. That doesn't mean much, because if the average project takes us 400 hours, that's not really ideal as a business. So you need to know how much time you're actually spending on these projects. Then add 30%, because they always end up being more than you think they're going to be. Once you know these numbers, let's say you work out, I need $2,000 a month bare minimum. In order to give myself $2,000 a month, I've got to pay $500 a month in expenses, and I've got to pay $500 a month in taxes and whatever, right? So in order for you to get that $2,000 a month, now you know you at least need to make $3,000 a month, if that makes sense. Plus, you always want to have that buffer in there, another 30%. So you've got to add an extra few $100s on top of that to make sure that you're not going to go under that amount each month, if that makes sense. You can't be working to the exact dollar. The last thing is, whatever that is, now add 20% to that. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of knowing your numbers. You need to know all the costs in your business, and the costs are in dollars and the costs are in minutes. In order to get the amount of clients you want to get, it's going to cost you a lot more time and money. And you have to add that onto those numbers as well. Again, a lot of this I'm going to tie together in the end, because I don't think a lot of people know the amount of time, energy, effort that actually goes into just being a freelancer, running your own business, and having consistent, high-paying work where it's, is it better than working at McDonald's, where you just have consistent pay, you're going to get paid, it's simple, you do the same thing over and over again? I don't know. Sometimes that feels like it could be a lot of fun. But before we get to summarizing that, I want to talk about why our customers keep coming back. And this is part of how we can help you increase your value as well. Because now that you know your numbers in terms of what you need to do to actually have a profitable website, let's make sure that people are actually going to be willing to pay for that and come back. That's really a key distinction here, is that we don't want once-offs. We want long-term marriages, referrals, ongoing work that snowballs and leads to more work, because you don't want to put all this investment into getting one new customer, selling them, and then that's it. Why our customers keep coming back? Number one, we are reliable. If we say we're going to do it, we will show up and do it. It's so unbelievably rare for us to not get something done when we say we're going to get it done. And then we have our core values, which is we're always there. And we've talked about this already in our communication and over communicating and setting expectations. If a customer needs something from us, bang, we respond usually within seconds or minutes. We are on that request straight away. That is very rare in our industry. Always yes. So something that we also, pride ourselves on is that for our clients, we will always say yes to every single request. Even if it's something we can't do, we'll say to them, look, we can't do this, but I'm going to refer you to someone that can. So we have a referral network. For example, Shopify. We don't do Shopify. Sometimes it's the right choice for our clients. So we say, look, here's our Shopify partner that we want to refer you to. And how did that happen? I went out of my way to find a Shopify expert that I could rely on and send people to. So that's, again, another part of our relationship, or why people keep coming back, because they know that we're going to be reliable, we're going to be there, and that we're going to provide a solution for them, which comes to the last thing, which is always caring, actually showing up, actually trying to figure things out. There's always going to be new bottlenecks, new problems that you're going to have to solve. And if you don't have a high level of care, then you're not going to be able to always be there, always say yes, and be reliable. That's going to slip. So these are why our customers keep coming back. Not to mention, we've packaged up all of these things. We've invested in building a whole system around this, which is what we're going to touch on in this step, which is how to be more valuable. I've touched on why our customers keep coming back, right? Because of those core principles, but we've really baked those core principles into how we deliver our websites, how we build our systems, how we provide our service overall. That's very difficult to do when you are just serving anyone, anytime, anywhere, building any kind of website. So what I decided to do just over a year ago now was, look, we're going to focus on serving one person and solving one problem, which is design agencies who love design, don't love dev, and they want Webflow development, right? From Figma to Webflow. That's it. That's our target market. And we've had to say no to a lot of work. But because we went all in on focusing on solving that one person extremely well, that is where our clients are getting a really great experience. And we're able to be reliable because we are so focused on being the best we can in that one space. Very few people are going to be able to compete or offer as much value as we'll be able to offer. It makes it more valuable. So we've built, which brings to point number 2. So we then have built systems to support that person and that one offer. Everything we do is about being that reliable go-to provider for exactly what they're wanting. If our clients don't have an ideal experience, we're not going to be like, oh, well, that's too bad. Oh, tell me, how can we improve that? How can we learn and improve and become better at serving that one person in one direction? We're not chasing, what do they say? The man who chases 2 rabbits catches none, right? There is a lot of people that are trying to get this business. For example, last week I pitched 3 different projects, all around the $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 price point. We only got one of them. 2 of them, although they were close, were both like, look, we've decided to go a different direction, or we've gone with another agency. You know, this close. I already invested. I had multiple calls with them. I sent them a proposal. It didn't get them over the line. Something else to keep in mind, I think I've already mentioned, you don't get every single deal, even if you think it's a great deal. Even myself, many, sales calls, you still don't land all of them, right? But if you are focused in one place for one person, that your chances go up a lot higher. In fact, those two that we didn't close were not design agencies. So we're stepping outside of our usual scope, which makes us less valuable. And in both of those cases, it might have been a better choice for them because, the people that they chose to work with were more specialized in their space, right? So it makes sense. And number 4, which I already touched on, is creating a partnership system to refer people to. This is incredibly valuable because you can just be that one-stop shop, right? They go-to person for solutions when it comes to website. To summarize, this is how I would recommend becoming more valuable. Focus on a particular niche in a particular space with a particular service or type of website. It might feel scary, but it makes you become a lot more valuable. But this brings me to a super important thing that I don't think is talked about enough, and it's what it takes to get clients. If you've already been in the freelance space, let's talk about 100 freelancers. Out of 100 freelancers, how many of them do you think are making $10,000 a month consistently? My guess is under 3%. I think it's probably 2 to 1%. That's my guess. And there's people that I know that I have on very good sources that they also think that's the case. You hear these statistics around, the average developer is earning $75,000 US a year. I don't know about that. Those numbers to me, maybe that's people that have jobs. I don't know if that's including all of the freelancers and all of the people who have tried to make it and haven't made it and are not making money. Okay, if that makes sense, all the people that are not included in those statistics are people without jobs, right? Or the people that aren't making money. In terms of my story, when it comes to getting clients, I've tried many different things. I've literally had thousands of sales calls in the last 7 years. I've done hundreds and hundreds of sales calls to sell courses, to sell SEO and marketing services, to sell websites, to sell consulting, all sorts of things, right? Design, branding. From those thousands of sales calls, I can't say that there's like one thing like, oh, this works. This is the thing that works really well. To be completely frank, it really comes back to the previous step I was talking about around specializing, being uber specific about who you serve, being super specific about all the benefits you can actually provide that person, which is unique to you because you are so focused on that space. This is what makes you stand out. If you're just sending emails saying, hey, do you want Webflow development or do you want us to build your website? People get 100 of these a day, right? This is not what people want. But if you're a pet store owner and you say, hey, we build websites for pet store owners. Would you like me to send through the last 10 pet store websites that we've built? And if there's any that you like, we'd love to chat with you. That is much more compelling than, hey, do you need a website developer? If that makes sense. From my experience, I've noticed a very big difference between when just pitching websites versus, hey, this is what we do. And it also makes, outreach a lot easier. So my story has been finding all sorts of groups and people and networking when it comes to like Facebook groups, when it comes to, Slack channels, trying to get ourselves on Google, setting up different freelancer accounts or cold calling, cold emailing, finding agencies. So I've done a lot of different things. And really it comes down to the step number 2 here, which is the numbers on outreach. If you think that, okay, if I have 10 sales calls, I close 2 of them, and the average website I get is $2,000, that means that you're getting $4,000 a month. But in order to do 10 sales calls, you might need to do 100 actually, to be honest, to get 10 sales calls, it's probably outreaching to 200 or 300 people. You're lucky to get 10 sales calls is 200 to 400 people that you've outreached to. So you have to factor in how much time is that going to take or money to reach out to 200 to 400 people in order to get those 10 sales calls. How much time do you have to spend on those 10 sales calls, right? Doing the maths on this, it might start to become a bit daunting. If I was you, it'd probably be a bit freaking daunting. It's like, oh, does this really make sense? And some of you might be getting lucky. And I don't want to scare you out of this. It's just a bit of a reality check on what's really involved with doing this. And then you get busy and you stop doing the outreach, and then you stop getting sales calls. It's a vicious cycle, right? That's where partnerships with design agencies we've found to be really incredible, because you're building ongoing relationships, creating efficiencies. You don't have to keep selling them every time. They've already been sold and they're on board. And that's why I decided to focus on that, because I just thought I just want to be surrounded by website opportunities that keep coming to us, which is why we're so, ferociously focused on serving design agencies. Essentially, whatever you think it's going to take to get 2 websites a month or whatever it is, do 10 times the amount of outreach that you're expecting to get those 2 websites a month, because it's probably going to take that much. And then you have to do it consistently. Now, hopefully I haven't scared you too much with that, because what I want to talk about is how you can also make yourself more attractive. And that is by showing your work. I know a lot of people talk about this, but what I want to touch on with showing your work is obviously people need to see what kind of quality of work you do. I have people send me their work and they have these like, hey, here's a Word document with some links to sites. Oh my God. I want someone to build my website. I want them to care about how it's presented. If you don't care about how your brand is presented, why would I think that you're going to care about how my website is presented? So I highly recommend putting effort into displaying and being proud of the work that you've done. Even if there's like a super skinny budget on a website, just go over the top and make it more beautiful so that you can use it as a case study. I want to show you how we systemize creating case studies. Okay, if you look at the Flow Gurus website, you'll notice that we have a bunch of case studies on our website. And if you look through, you might think, oh, that's super nice. Like, oh yeah, oh, lovely. Oh, love that, right? This I found to be a real drag, a real pain to to have these put together. So what I've done is created a template that I just use on every project. So when a project is done, I take screenshots of all the pages, I upload them to this template. You can see that we've just uploaded them to the template. It's a CMS page. Boom, 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 upload them into that template and get it up on the website, right? This is relatively new we've just been doing this in the last 8 months or so. And then we can share it on social media. Absolutely fantastic, and highly recommend doing this. It's a real game changer because it allows you to show your work, but it's not like you have to rethink it every time. So have a systemized way of creating case studies, and then also systemize the sharing of that work. So once we've done that, we'll then post this on social media. Now, when we post on social media, the idea between like how we post these is not so much promoting Flow Gurus, but we want to promote our design agency partners. So for example, High Thrive was with TrackMeet Studio in Texas. And so when we launched this, we're thrilled to announce High Thrive's website designed by the uber talented team at TrackMeet, right? So we're promoting them. It's a real win-win situation where we want people, our design partners, to feel really good about what they've designed. And also potentially we can help them get more work. If they get more work, we have more websites to build. So it's a win-win situation. But it's really about promoting, not saying, hey, look how great we are, but how amazing is the design agency we've worked with who has done this beautiful design, which we've brought to life with Webflow. So when it comes to showing your work, I highly recommend systemizing, have a process in place so that you can simply finish a project, plug it into that template, and get it out there for the world to see. Because if people can see the kind of work that you're doing, you'll start attracting the right kind of people that are ready to work with you with the level that you're at. Now, lastly, if you've hung in here this long, I hope you're doing well. You've done well to hang in here this long. Should I freelance? Should I start an agency? Or should I get a job? Look, my story is I actually started with an agency, Periscope Media, 5 or 6 years ago. It's getting on. SEO agency. It's actually run by my closest mate. And I said to him at the time, I did a website for them because I needed some work. I was about to work back in the mines. I just had a terrible financial situation. I was $60,000 in debt. And I was like, man, I need some work. And then my friend's company had a website that needed built for $300. I was like, sweet, $300. I think it took me like a week or something. I built it. Awesome. Then the next website, then the next website. And eventually I said, well, look, dude, how about we make a deal? I'll get a percentage of the profit that we have left over at the end of the month. You just let me manage and build the website department. Like, give me the full responsibility. I'll build the team. I'll take full responsibility for the website department, and I'll only get paid if we make money. That's pretty crazy. Looking back, that was a freaking insane thing to do. But for some reason, I just love doing stuff like that and challenging myself. So that was a massive struggle for 2 years, getting things, learning. And there was so much involved with that, right? I was kind of in a freelance-ish role with an agency, it was a partnership with them where I was part of the team, but I wasn't technically, employed. It was a very unique dynamic. I'll give you that. But it got me to take so much responsibility for whether the website department made money or not. So from there, though, I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to have more control over who I was working with, and do more of the work that I really enjoyed. So with their blessing, I launched Flow Gurus almost 3 years ago. Freelancing versus running an agency, and my experience, because when I first started Flow Gurus, I guess you could say I was kind of freelancing. And then I just had an extended network of contractors that were kind of supporting me. Look, I found it really difficult, to be honest. It was, I found it very tricky because it was just so wide open with different types of jobs and different people. I can probably show you a picture of the seat that I was sitting on. Actually, I took this just the other day, and I'll share it with you now. I was sitting on this stool. Check this out. That little red stool. I was sitting on that stool when I sold out the first website for Flow Gurus, which was, I think it was around $21,000 or $22,000, which was pretty crazy to start the business off on that foot. Branding, design, development. It was an unreal big project, and I connected with that person who posted something in a Facebook group. I just straight away posted a link. Hey, here's my link. Book a call. Let's jump on a call. We jumped on a call, I think that day or the next day, and that was the start of Flow Gurus. But that took me 2 or 3 months. By the time I think we set the business up, by the time I was like setting up systems and starting, put together the offering and getting things up and running, I think it was a couple of months. Yeah, that was rough. It was a very rough start. That first 6 months was touch and go. Goodness me. Running an agency, I would say the distinction is, I'm actually responsible for the full-time pay of multiple people. That's how I'd probably create the distinction between an agency and a freelancer. Freelancer, you don't really have responsibilities for other people's pay other than like project by project, where now month after month after month after month, 12 months of the year, I'm responsible for multiple 3.5 part-time, full-time wages, which is a massive responsibility. That's other people's roofs, livelihoods, food on the table, taking care of their family. Like, that's a big deal. And that's, I don't want to put fear into everyone, but that's a big decision to make. Do you want to be responsible for that? To be honest, I didn't really ask for this. I don't even know how it kind of happened. It evolved into this just because of the vision and the drive of what I wanted to create. But I do want to point out one thing which could be very helpful is if I'd known this stuff now, it might have been different. But as a freelancer, I think you can be super powerful with the things that I've talked about before, where you are just super focused on creating immense amount of value in one space and being known for that one thing, and creating a snowball in that area. And if I was freelancing, that's what I would be doing. Because when you go from freelancing to then running an agency, the expenses are massively different. So instead of, a few $100s a month, expenses for Flowgurus is over $10,000. Well, it's well over $10,000. It's more like $15,000 or $16,000 a month. If we're including all wages and, subscriptions, business coaching, all the things that we're currently invested in very heavily at the moment, it's intense, right? There's a lot going on. Marketing expenses, running an agency, it's like 100x more than I anticipated what would be involved and the amount of time it took to actually get it rolling. I'm not saying that would be the same for everyone. I'm just saying the path that I've been on, it's been really hard. Really, really, really freaking hard, right? To get to where we are, where we now have consistent, regular work, but it's still not guaranteed. What happens if we have a slow month and I have $16,000 of expenses? Where's that money magically? It's not like the business magically just spits money out. And at the end of the day, that fundamentally, the responsibility comes back down on me. It depends how you are with dealing with stress. But I would like to briefly touch on the benefit of getting a job. Obviously, this depends on what the job is, where you are working and stuff. But if you're a freelancer starting out, I would actually recommend doing something similar to what I did, where here's what I would paint the ideal picture for. Find an agency that you want to work with. Do whatever you can to get in their good graces. Figure out a way to contribute. How can I give to these people? How can I make their lives better? How can I make things work better for their business and promote what they're doing? Find a business where you can contribute to so that you can get paid to become a better Webflow developer. 1 year, 2 years. Like, this is where you can essentially earn a living, even if it's lower than what you want, but earn a living in this space. Take the time to become really good at what you're doing. As you improve on your craft, at the same time, I would be focusing on how can I improve this business? So think outside of the scope of just being a Webflow developer. Look at the current business and figure out how can I add value to this business? Because that's what you're going to have to do if you're going to be a freelancer on your own or running your own agency. You're going to have to be thinking like that anyway. How can I improve my business systems? How can I get more money in this business? Now, if you're working with a reasonable business owner and you come up with ways of adding money in the business, if you make it clear, look, I've done these things and this has added this much to the business, you might be in a lucky situation where they'll want to reward you for that. But first of all, do it. Do it first. Myself as a business owner, from my efforts alone, I've had to create hundreds of thousands of dollars in the business. I don't have people sitting around thanking me and being like, oh, well, you pat on the back and now you're going to get all this money. There's times where I've had to get paid less than my team members. I'll pay my team members before myself. There's time where I've been just eating on the cheap, eating chicken soup just to get by so that the business can survive, right? So if you're in a business and you get the opportunity to learn about a business, to get paid to do, to build Webflow sites, to get better at that, I would be using it as a time to learn about business, to learn about sales, to learn about how can I create value in an existing framework, in an existing business, because that is so valuable. Because those things you learn, even if you don't get paid extra for that in that business, that's insane practice and things that you'll be able to then utilize in the real world when you then launch your own thing. The sky's the limit. But if someone was working in my business and at some point they outgrew the business and they wanted to do their own thing, they would have my full support. And if there's some way that we could transition them out of it or support them in the new thing, then we would do that, right? But ideally, you get enough cash behind you that you can then transition into something. But I would probably try to do something in parallel, work weekends on something that's not going to affect your other work, but, maybe take on one project and do it outside of hours, get that extra cash flow coming in, that experience. And when you have enough of that coming in where it's going to, start overtaking your existing job, make the transition. That's what I would do if I was starting again. Super long video, but hopefully when it comes to receiving consistent, well-paying projects or finding new clients, essentially earning money in this space of Webflow, I hope this has been valuable for you. Please feel free to reach out and ask any questions about this. It's something that I am passionate about. It's something that I've poured my heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears and lots of money into cracking myself. And I really do wish you all the best. If I could leave on one thing with this, it's about creating value, giving value. No one owes you anything. Unless it's in a contract, unless that money is in your bank account, you haven't done something that would have led to that money being in the bank. Like, the way I look at it for myself is that it's no one else's fault that there's not as much money as I want at a particular time in a bank account. If the money's not there, I didn't put that money there. I didn't figure out a way to get that money in there. So I need to ask better questions about how I can get that money in there. And for me, honestly, it's all come down to just how can I just create more and more value for those around me, which is part of why I'm shooting this video and I'm passionate about sharing this, is because I want to create more value, as much value as I can for the community around me, for the people that we're partnered with. And that seems to be coming back tenfold.